Hello again, you're watching TVP World. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy arrived in Poland's capital Warsaw today, meeting both Prime Minister Donald Tusk and President Andrzej Duda. And we're going to talk about the details of this visit now with our guest, Krzysztof Jaworski, Deputy Director at the Institute for Security and International Development. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Thank you for invitation. Good evening.
So let's talk about the specifics, right? Sometimes these state visits are just about vague declarations that really don't do anything when it comes to advancing certain causes. But in this case, we actually had a few concrete steps to be taken. So do you think that it was overall successful in this regard?
I think that we can say that it was successful because there is agreement signed between Poland and Ukraine. And it's not about only the words, because if we look in the broader view at the support that Poland already donated to Ukraine, it's 44 packages of military equipment that's value exceeds 4 billion euros as for now. So it's solid, so it's like a really robust military support for Ukraine from Poland.
It was also one of the first, when other countries were still hesitant about even sending firearms. Poland was already busy sending tanks.
That's right. It's because of our geography and our security interests that we acted so fast and with real donations of military equipment. And we are among other countries that have similar position, but we are medium country, and we contributed with amounts of support that really had effect on what happened at the front of this military confrontation during the Russian invasion on Ukraine. So yes, Poland acted really fast, and our support had real impact on what is happening on the field, on the battlefield.
So do you think that we're going to be in the vanguard once again? I'm talking specifically about the mention being made during the conference, which took place in the wake of the meeting, that there are talks about intercepting Russian missiles over Ukraine, but from Polish territory. Now, this has been a controversial issue for a long time. Do you think that Poland could take this step? And this has been something that many experts were talking about, that, if these projectiles form a threat, potential threat to NATO airspace, we would be in a position to shoot them down. Do you think this is going to happen?
I think that one important thing that we need to take into account in this question is that we shouldn't, as Poland, make the first step if other allies, other NATO members don't do it. We shouldn't take all the risk only on ourselves. So of course it will be really good if NATO will acknowledge new politics of making this missiles flying in the Ukraine airspace included in our air defense systems and shooting them down. But of course it needs to effort, it needs to decision of whole alliance, not just Poland.
I mean, endorsement essentially, because it's highly unlikely that other countries would be taking part in this directly due to the distance. I mean, we're one of the few countries so close to the war zone. But do you think that might once again be this choir of skeptics coming out and saying this is escalation, this puts us in the position of a co-belligerent and so on? I mean, there is no threat of killing anyone because these are just unmanned projectiles or other types of equipment flying around and being potentially shot down. Do you think that this is possible, though, to ensure that this is the case? I mean, what if, by mistake, a Russian jet flies into the airspace, tries to attack Ukrainian targets, it is detected by the radar systems, an anti-aircraft missile is launched and the aircraft is shot down?
Yeah, yes, that's right. I agree that it isn't automatically means the war between Russia and Poland, for example, because we have similar cases from the history, like shooting down the Russian aircraft by Turkish military some years ago. However, I think that even if that's true, and even if it's a good way of development of NATO deterrence posture to put these red lines for Russia to make Russia calculate and more risk on their sides and not to be only reactive but actively making our own impact on what is going on in Ukraine. At the same time, I believe that as a medium state, we shouldn't take this step alone. We should always put our own security at the first place. And of course, supporting Ukraine is our own interest. However, we should maintain the maximum security of Poland at the same time.
Also, do we have the equipment to actually shoot these missiles down? Unless it's just about, like, border incidents. So a missile is flying so close it could be shot down by short-range systems. I mean, we're still implementing the air defense architecture based on the Patriot systems. It's not like we already have lots of them just lying around. So is it realistic that, to expect that this is going to happen in the short term? Is this actually more of a declaration of intent that, look, we're going to work on it, meaning that we also need to enhance our own capacity to act in such situations?
I think that we should focus on this military industry capacity to produce additional missile defense systems, and as for now it is not enough because we sent already some systems to Ukraine, and for example it's the same case with Germany and their Patriot systems, and it takes some years to produce additional systems. So yes, I think that as for now it is mainly the words, it is mainly declarations. However, it has its important role as well, because it changes our approach, our as NATO approach towards conflict, and it makes Russian calculation more difficult for them. And I think that we should discuss this thing like in the short, in the medium and in the long term ahead. So even if for this year it will be just declarations, it can start the process which will has effect, for example, in the next year or in the 2 years. So yes, I think that it is important to push toward such declarations, even if they are for now without real capabilities, but it opens the door of possibility that it will happen sooner or later, and the problem, the conflict will stay here with us for some next year. So it is really important to take this medium and long-term planning as it comes.
Speaking of which, do you think that it is also significant that Poland is going to continue to have this advocacy role? I mean, we don't really have that much to give militarily, because we've given away a lot of the equipment, especially the equipment that was compatible with the Ukrainian military in the early days of the war. But we're actually one of the countries that continue to hold a very steady position on helping Ukraine. Our political scene is fairly united over the question of helping Ukraine, so we don't have like a massive pro-Russian party that says, no, we should totally abandon Ukraine because this is not our war, unlike some Western European countries where the far right, and sometimes also the far left, actually holds these positions and makes significant gains in elections. But we also have the ability to actually put Ukraine's case forward during major meetings, negotiations with allies. So this is what the Polish Foreign Ministry has been doing. So articulating this sort of regional position, saying, look, this is not just about Central and Eastern European countries which are NATO members. Ukraine also needs to be a part of this architecture. It is an essential part of this, and so we need to take it into account also when planning for further developments, such as NATO enlargement, for example.
That's right. I think that during conflict in Ukraine, center of political and military gravity moved toward eastern flank of NATO. However, it's nothing given, granted, and we need to still work on it. It's like we need to put a lot of diplomatic and as well real, for example, military effort. And as you said, we already gave a lot of military equipment. However, now we can still contribute in important way, because this equipment needs maintenance, needs repairing, the military, Ukrainian soldiers need training, and these are also fields of cooperation that were mentioned today during meeting of Prime Minister Donald Tusk and President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, as well as encouraging our military industries to cooperate, because as for now, Ukraine is really innovative in the field of military industry, because they have a lot of possibilities to test these innovations, and I think it's really important to put emphasis on this cooperation as well.
So now, would you say that in this context, Ukraine also has the comfort of knowing that with our political system, with our track record so far, we still remain this sort of major ally in the region? I mean, it's not taken for granted. We have countries such as Hungary, which, even though they are geopolitically vaguely in the same area, right? They are acting in a totally different way. We have Viktor Orban playing the master diplomat, a journey to Moscow, to Beijing. Hard to say whether this will produce any sort of tangible results. There are doubts over that. But I'm just emphasizing the fact that Poland has been there right from the beginning, right?
That's right. And I think that there is important difference that is when it comes to geography of Hungary and Poland, because as we are talking here in Warsaw, we are like 300 kilometers from the Polish-Belarusian border, and Belarus is like one part of this political organism with Russia now. However, Hungary has mountains that are putting them away of this threat. And of course, I agree that it's not only the case, the thing of geography. Here in Poland, we have the good track of supporting Ukraine and the good track of understanding our own security interest in doing it. And I think that it is really unlikely that it will change because of elections where in Poland there will be a party that has other stance on this topic. And it is not the case with a lot of other countries that help Ukraine as for now. For example, now there is a discussion about what will happen in France after elections. And yes, I agree that Poland is definitely main ally of Ukraine in the region. However, even if we are the main ally in the region, we should also take into consideration the posture, the will of main country of NATO, United States, because United States alone gives like 70 or even 80, some analysts say rather this, other say this rather 80% of NATO military capabilities. So without United States, it will be almost impossible to effectively deter Russia. And of course, United States are now making some efforts to make Europe more more possible to self-defense itself. However, it's, I think, a long way to make it possible.
And actually, that's a totally different question, whether American politics is going to put a dent in the unity of NATO, something that we have discussed today already. However, we'll be, of course, also coming back to this. For the time being, Krzysztof Jaworski was our guest today here on TVP World. Thank you very much for joining us and sharing your insight.
Thank you very much.